From the backstretch at Saratoga, this is the Handicappers Report. The Handicappers Report is brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. The new Capital OTB wagering platform. Bet any place, anytime with the new Capital OTB wagering platform. And CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier wagering site in New York State.
I am Anthony Mormino on the first Saturday of the meet, and once again, Seth, gorgeous out there.
Yeah, it's a perfect morning. I mean, a really mid to upper 60s and a little light sun, and yeah, very comfortable, very nice.
And there is no doubt that that is a non-Seth Merrow tie. And I might say, and those who will see Seth later on this afternoon trackside, sporting some, in the old days we would have called those chartreuse colored pants. That's way outside of your spectrum.
This? You don't just call this khaki?
That is not khaki. No, don't do that. But for those who see Seth, I know color blindness is a male-dominant affliction, but you are not even close. That is not khaki.
I'm gonna ask some other people around the track here.
And listen, for those who say it is, get names and numbers, please, because that is not khaki.
Chartreuse is a reddish color, right?
No, chartreuse is a greenish color.
Well, I'm not putting that green either.
That's green too. That's what matches the tie. You're not even close. Wait till you talk to people today.
I will.
Press box, look out. We keep in tallies. But grade 1 today, the Diana, the Sanford. 3 days in the books. Nobody can hit the pick 6. It's over $500,000. Last night, if you weren't paying attention in Kentucky, they had penny breakage, something that's tremendous for the game. Kind of different for somebody who's been looking at result charts really regularly since about 1976, 77 to see numbers like 9 in the single column, but we'll see where that goes. Interesting moment that I know I've spoken to this before, Seth, and the first thing I want to say to you is how important is timing races? I mean,
well,
I mean, how?
I would say very, but
I mean, so yesterday, either we had by far the slowest mile on the 16th on the inner turf course. Now, let's also preface it, Seth, that I was away for a week, but looking at my lawn when I returned, I would say it was pretty dry the week I was away, and it's been very dry, hot. My point is, it should be baked out there. So in the third race, the New York bred maiden special weights go 52, then 117. And here's the scary part. Track has had it at like 116.93. So they kind of almost agree. Of the 8 people, well, I was watching it with 3 people, when they put 52 up, we all just started laughing. So here's the question I have. If you don't believe it, should they post it? Is that believable, first off?
Well, yeah, that's hard to
How
believe.
about this? A couple races later, New York Breds once again, but it was the optional 45 non-winners at 2 Dancing with the Stars race. In the old days of a fifth of a second equals a length, they would have beaten them by 25 lengths, which you've rarely ever seen on a turf course labeled firm. I've never seen anybody win by 20 on a firm turf course. Sometimes in a bog in a 3-horse field where the other 2 hate the turf course and stop running. But unbelievable. And we've talked from time to time about the database that I was able to put together during COVID, using Equibase going back to 91, etc., and compiling it. There was a 2-year-old race, slower, only one, in final raw times for a mile 16th on the inner, and these were not 2-year-olds, but the half-mile time, which definitely led to the 3/4 times, were just, I don't know, anybody could believe it. I mean, the weather, it should be like a concrete highway out there. I mean, didn't somebody run 133 and change? Yeah, the Forbidden Apple went in 133.76. That's on the inner turf course, folks. You only run a mile on the turf, on the inner turf course here. And I've held the position that if you have no confidence in it, and confidence should be like 95% and above, you believe it, you shouldn't post it. You have any thoughts? Or
Well,
is it not that important?
No, it is. No, it is important. But I'm just said the post or no post. I don't know what to.
If you
do
know
with
it's
that.
wrong, how can you put it up there? And how can you think that that's right?
Yeah, no.
And my other thing would be, and I've talked to Craig Milkowski about this, I go, I don't have any idea about this part except his ideas. It's not that expensive, and it's not that hard to get it exactly right. You and I talked 15 years ago about the Japan Cup when they run. Every single horse at every single interval has it to hundreds of seconds. Now, I don't follow Japanese racing except for that day. I don't know if people think their timing is terrible and unbelievable, but my point is I think it's unbelievably valuable. I think people, and I like to use my sisters as a marketing device because they're just a casual fan with one brother that's just a zealot. Even if Trackus was kind of close to it and you looked it up, my sisters are not going to go to Naira.com, look up Trackus and everything. They go to the track, they see the monitor, and they believe it. And I look around at people and I'm like, they believe it. And I'm going, I mean, technically I think that gives us an edge when they run back, but typically those folks don't bet a lot of money, but I don't know. And apparently there's no solution. I've talked about this before, Seth. I denote when the rails are up because my confidence level goes through the floor when the rails are up with a teletimer. And that's why for years I said that I always liked Taurus, because I thought when Taurus ran his mile up here, it was on the hedge, and I believed his time for the mile more than a couple times that the track record has been set. I think the last 3 times the track record had been set, and this is going back to before Taurus won the Breeders' Cup Mile, the 3 previous record holders had done it with the rails.
Yeah.
And I just don't have
There is definitely
5% confidence.
There is no question. Turf course is almost anywhere. If they're moving the rails, your confidence level starts to slough off a little bit. There's no
And nowhere else I noticed it was with the turf sprints at Gulfstream Park. They used to have this setting like 107 feet. It was like, well, how do these horses not win the Breeders' Cup turf sprint? I mean, if they could run this fast. So that was yesterday. That was Whistler's Honor, paid $7, etc. Another thing I looked up, because I talked about the $89 winner on opening day. I think in about 7 or 8 meets since '91, there hasn't been a mutual at about 8 different meets that high.
Oh, okay.
You know, so they would have had the topper. I think 6 out of 10 years of the '90s and a couple times since then. But what I discovered that surprised me was that really since about 2000, practically every meet has had a $100 mutual or more.
Yeah, if
I found that surprising, but
if somebody had said, I would have said every year there's
a
at least
$100
one
horse.
that drops in there.
Yeah.
I remember a few years ago I had a Patrick. I want to say it's a Patrick Biancone horse, but I remember I was sitting in the grandstand one day. There are a couple days a year I'll just go and kind of kick back with a grandstand seat, and I was sitting there and I looked up at this Patrick Biancone horse who was 50 to 1 or whatever, and I looked at the PPs and looked up, and it was one of those where you're just like, these odds are too good. I don't know if this horse is going to win or not, but at 50 to 1, and I ran up to the window with about 30 seconds left and got in a few bucks on
fund? From your Giacomo fund? I'm telling you, Seth, we're betting at Pepsi. If you get 2 people that say those are khaki, I'll buy you a drink against my Pepsi. But you know the biggest mutual is, and it's by far. I think it's one of the most perplexing things that have ever happened. I just gave the answer away. Perplexed. Wayne, nearly $250. No one's like within $80 of them.
Oh yeah, then you get a
But
price
the
like
coach
that.
has the only $200 horse since 1991. I don't think there were too many in the 90s. But are you playing the pick six today? I'm not
a pick six player.
I'm not a horizontal player at all.
I play the horizontals, but I rarely play the pick six.
In these pools for the pick five, I mean, folks they love Saratoga.
Yeah.
I mean, because you would think, I don't think the pick five pools have suffered too much, and obviously the pick six pools are going through the roof. I mean, when John Embriel announced the first day carry over 120,000, I was like, that's not typical. And then yesterday, would they pour in about 800,000, a little short of 800,000?
That sounds right.
And I think it's what, 532.
532 carryover. So
Right off the bat.
and another nice day attendance-wise, over 24,000. So,
Oh yeah.
First couple of days, people are turning out, no question about it, and seeing some good racing, getting some good weather. I'm not gonna. I think that's supposed to continue today and tomorrow. So
I mean, today looks beautiful. Now, I mean, it's actually a little cool, and for us, under the lights today, completely under the lights. Not the day to wear the off-white sport coat, obviously, but I mean, it's beautiful out here today. And the racing's been great. And, we'll go forward.
absolutely, kicking off is Saturday with a grade 1. You gotta like that.
You have any thoughts?
No, not really.
Other things?
I don't think so.
Got a good night's sleep last night?
Finally, I recouped. Friday night, I would usually be, but I said to you before we went out, I think I remember this last year too. It's just so revved up getting into the first few days. By the time I walked out yesterday, I was like in a zombie mode. So I went home, got a good night's sleep.
I mean,
so now I'm ready to go.
Trust me, it's not like laying bricks in 100-degree weather, but one of the things that I have found when you do what we do with regularity, you have to develop a pattern.
Yeah, exactly.
You will. Seth laughs at me because the green paper clip for me is that day's racing.
I am not quite as patterned as you.
I would get. I mean, it would be, and the blue one is for Sundays. So I'm like, the green one always has to come. And I told him the other day, and I think he's still shaking his head. So when this show ends, and I go over, I immediately take the green clip off of July 16th, and I'll put it on the 17th. So green is go for tomorrow morning, and that's it. But I mean,
and it was a couple of weeks ago. You said to me, "Oh, that's today's, right?
Yeah,
you got the green out."
Seth is
I'm like,
no way.
green
That's
what?
Because I
got
bought
multicolor. I just pull them
a
out.
bag of multicolored ones. There is no system. What do we have? The play of the day? We take a break?
Yeah.
What do we do?
Head break to the play today, I think.
All right, let's go to today's play of the day.
Kevin Cox here, the Brooklyn Cowboy, with your DePaula play of the day from Saratoga Racecourse. We'll be doing our plays of the days on Fridays and Saturdays throughout the meet. And yesterday we had our first one, a 7-2 shot, which was 6-1 on the morning line. Finished second, getting back some decent place and show money for our bankroll bettors. Broke a little bit slow, but lumbered along late, and we're actually quite lucky that the horse did, in fact, get up for second. Today's card is extremely difficult, being a Saturday card they usually are. And rather than stab for a price in a race that we think is wide open, we're going to take short odds. We don't like doing that too much. We're going to take short odds in the day's opener. We're going to take what they give us, basically. We have a horse in today's opener that we feel only one other horse has a chance of beating him. Although he's listed at 3-1 on the morning line, we think it's going to be going off at about 5-2, perhaps 2-1. The name of the horse is North Pole, so we're going with a little bit of Christmas in July with the number 5 here, North Pole. This one comes in off a career best effort down at Belmont when setting most of the fractions before tiring to finish third, but did it at 11-1, so wasn't expected to do as good as he did. That figure was a career best effort. Now, although it occurred going one term, what we like to do is prorate that if a horse has shown something going 2 turns. To this race here is out of that Wilson chute, the mile, where it's like 1.5 turns, but we basically count it as going 2 turns. And by prorating that to this one's best figure at Del Mar, way back when, it's way back when, we come up with an 89.2, which is not what we're seeing happening today. We're not even seeing an 85 on this one's radar. But being there was no Lasix that day, and now the horse is getting Lasix, even something in the low 80s should be enough to lay over this entire allotment. But keep in mind, there's a lot of wood to chop to get back to that number, because this one went for more than $1 million at auction, and has only banked about $35,000 so far. So obviously, there's been some issues along the way. There is some speed inside here. There's some speed which could hang this one out. So if TGAF wants to, perhaps he'll sit just off the speed, like the winner did in the first Wilson race on Thursday afternoon. Aside from that, this one has a little bit of a maturity advantage, as 4 of his 6 competitors are 3-year-olds, and this one's a 4-year-old. Now, this time of the year, it really doesn't matter all that much because figure they stop really fully maturing in the 4th month of their 3-year-old year, but still, it accounts for something. So we're seeing this one as having a maturity edge, doing well from a buyer point of view, being tactically drawn, and only facing one other horse with a legit shot. Additionally, there's a DRF formulator stat in play. Over the last 5 years, this barn, from a decent sampling, is 4 for 16 with horses stretching out on the dirt that hit the board less than a month ago at 7-1 or less. Now, that's a lot of categories, but that's how we do it. When we utilize the formulator, we consider it a piece of wood that we're whittling down to the best chance. So 4 for 16 is 25%. And being Mako normally wins 17% of the time, it definitely piques our interest. And the prices came back decent as well. $7, $16, and 2 of them came back $5. So we're going to take what they're giving us here, try to grind out a little bit of a profit, end the week on a good note, and go with the number 5 North Pole as our DePaula play of the day. And keep in mind, we'll be doing this on Fridays and Saturdays throughout the meet. And also on some Wednesdays, we're going to be doing a little angle handicapping over at Clare Court. So look forward to seeing you at the track, and good luck.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. North Pole, where there aren't penguins. Penguins are only at the South Pole. The play of the day.
Fun fact. I
Yes.
did not know that.
Yep. 1 mile Wilson should be interesting. The second run out of it. They ran the Wilton Stakes, the opening day co-feature, and it'll be the opener today. And no commercial spot. We're just going to go. That doesn't seem right. We have to get 3 internal breaks. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll get it.
We
got 11 races today.
We got 3, 6, and 9 for breaks, Dino. Then we'll kick it off. The opener, maiden claimers, 3-year-olds and up. This is open company, as I mentioned, a mile. And I think they should just go to the graphics that they use for Ellis Park and the mile, which is basically a right angle to the finish line.
Yeah.
Not they're not starting on the turn. We'll see. We have 7 entered now. You're in the press box. You have better circle of knowledge. Have they decided on the maximum field size?
Not as far as I know.
Okay.
I think that's still
Up
a
in the
little
air
bit
to
up
be
for grabs.
determined, the
Yeah,
jockey's
still up for
safety and
grabs.
everything. Which on tight situations, I'm usually like, come on with it, Dell. But because there is a safety issue here, I give them a lot of latitude, the jockeys, because it's new. Anybody reasonable can see what they're talking about, which is the jam up on the turn.
I mean, it seems like it's going to be an 8 to 10 kind of a thing.
10, I think, is going to be a stretch, because that's the number they bantered about. I was thinking about 10, and if I had to bet a wooden nickel, that second Pepsi,
I mean, you don't have
it'd be on 8.
It's a long run to the actual turn, so there's plenty of time for them to kind of sort themselves out.
It is, but no one wants to be.
Exactly.
Everyone's going for 2 lanes.
Yeah, and the inside, I think it was you and I that were talking. I was talking to somebody yesterday. If you get squeezed on the inside a little bit, all of a sudden you have that Kentucky Derby situation where you're headed right into the rail potentially.
So
they'll sort it out.
They will sort it out.
Get the
have
word
great
from the
confidence
jocks.
in that.
Yeah.
Just the day before we get the timing mechanism, but there you go. Who do you like in the opener?
I have a 3, 4, 5, and 1. I put Fiery
Okay.
Heart on top. Mark Hennig trainee comes out of a decent little try down at Belmont in an off-the-turfer. Most of the career has been on the turf, but moved to the main track last time, and I think might have run the best race of the career. If you look down the page, the buyer on an off-the-turfer at Gulfstream was a little bit better, but that was synthetic. It was down at Gulfstream. So maybe they found the home last time. Luis Saez on board. He, once again, off to a very nice start up here. So I'll put that one on top. Lately raced, Not the One, goes out for Donegal and Todd Pletcher. Obviously, they had some high hopes for this one. Paid $125,000 back at Keeneland, September of 2020. Went off at 9-2 in the debut over at Monmouth, but was facing maiden specials that day. Second start of the career, they paid $125. Now they're going for $40. class relief may be enough to get this horse in a better position with the experience under the belt. And then North Pole, Tyler Gaffleone, Mike Maker, third place finish last time in a maiden claimer. And off of that race, you have to put this one in the mix. The numbers a little further down aren't necessarily any better than my top pick. And this one also has had 8 tries and hasn't gotten it done yet. So I went a little bit away from this one, and I'll appreciate the 5-1 on Fiery Heart a little bit better. I have it 3, 4, 5, and 1. And I should say, I don't know where you put the one down in the third spot. The one's the morning line favorite, Todd Pletcher runner. I just wasn't sure. The two best races are on turf. They do drop in, and that may mitigate the surface switch, but I hope that one takes some money. I think that's worth taking a little pop against.
Yes. Were both Brad Cox's big drops yesterday? I know the one was.
The one won.
And they both won.
The one won,
you know,
and then the
was,
Fletcher horse that was in that race that was also taking the drop.
I'm standing right next to him after the claimed horse won. And he was busy, and I just, it's not that important. But as we said yesterday, 3 years you claimed 7 horses. I wanted, which by the way, he's now at 38% first off the claim.
Of course, someone told me that it's a local owner, and that I think that may play into it.
Yeah, that. Our thought was, I mean, if I'm making complete guessing, there has to be a story because you don't.
Yeah,
and now he's 3 for 8 lifetime first.
And
off
somebody
the claim,
had talked a little bit about that to me, and I forget the whole bit, but you would think a local owner was, hey, let's claim a horse, come up to Saratoga and try to.
And the other one was the big expensive horse dropped down to 25. And one. Oh, quick note on neither one of us are pick 6 players, but you kind of, 5 of the 6 were in the top 4 betting selections. I know you had to come up with City Man in a race that was deep, and you and I had talked about how do you get through 5 and 6, but the general public had it like the 3rd and the 4th chart, starting with Jules Stone, etc. With $500,000 plus in the pool. I'm sort of surprised.
Stringing them together, though, you had $14, $16, $15, $9.20, $26, $15. None of them were crazy. None of them were up, but you had 5 of them were double digits. So stringing them together.
Okay. Because I would have thought most big tickets, or at least somebody out there, top 4, but that's for another. I'm 5-4-1, ladies and gentlemen. North Pole. One thing I like to say on maiden claiming races, one of the more popular public handicappers is a first time in for a tag, and it's an extremely powerful angle. Some people will say it's, the most powerful single angle repeatedly. Now, what's funny was, as contrarian as I think you can be rewarded in this game, years ago I started labeling horses that were actually ran for the tag the most times, or the second most times. And North Pole's only 3-1, and he's the second most veteran in here running for a tag for, I think, the 5th time. But I didn't like the chalk in here that you touched on, which I'll touch on only for a tag. But North Pole, to me, fits in here. I know it's going to be his 10th start. Second time starter, number 4, not the one. I don't know what we're going to say, but ran 2 complete turns at Monmouth Park in a debut, which is not easy for many horses. I mean, winning debut and going 2 turns is serious stuff. And then number 1, Never Change. They add blinkers. This is a homebred for Mike Rapoli, but 5-4-1 in Saturday's opener.
Race number 2 will complete the early double, and since we've been in here the past couple of days, we have been reminiscing about various things that have changed since we started coming to the track.
See, that's natural at Saratoga.
You're right. One of them, of course, that I talk about every year is the early double.
Well, you had to add the adjective.
Because if you said to people, hey, I'm going to the track today, it'd be like, play the 3-4 double. Play me my numbers in the double. That was a huge thing back in the day, but that has completely
I'll tell you a
disappeared.
story that I don't think I've ever told. It's not a great story, but when I was very young, early teenager, a group of people and a local bookmaker, you would bet the 2-4 double for the meet. And you were in charge, and the bookmaker trusted you. You were in charge of if it scratched that day. Otherwise, you owed them $48, and then you just worked it off. But that's how It was. I mean, people were like, it was the double. You didn't need the adjective early. It was the double.
And as I say, that is complete. It's changed if you're not catching on. It's changed because there's a double in every race now. It used to be just the first 2 races, but now you can play it all day long. The second race today, starter allowance at the 50,000 level, 3/4 of a mile.
Yeah, and I think we tiptoed into it. Then we had the late double, so we
Yeah.
had 2 of them. And then finally, matter of fact, they don't even call it anymore, but years ago at the track, they just called it the rolling daily double.
Yeah.
Do you remember the, here's one for you, the instant daily doubles in New York?
I remember the phrase, but I don't remember what
You
it
don't remember?
referred to.
I think when a field size would be knocked down that they couldn't have an exacta,
I think you're right.
an instant daily
That's right.
double
Yeah.
came up.
That's right, yeah.
All right. Have you done the conditions here? Should I start talking?
Yeah.
7-6-2 for me. Well, we're not really that close either here. But Chloe Rose gets my top pick from the outside. They're going to add blinkers this afternoon for a good barn. The horse has good early positioning speed, which I love from the outside. I think it's, it's tactically very good. I mean, you have less traffic issues typically. You're able to get in position and sometimes really kind of, force the other rider to make certain decisions. Luis Saez, who, obviously last year had the tremendous first 4 days. He's won back-to-back races in the middle of the card yesterday. He gets the mount. He rode this horse in the most recent effort to a runner-up position. For a second is number 6, T. Olive, who, here you go, Seth, I think held the track record here. A horse named T. Olive held the track record that Mayakovsky, I think, broke on opening day. And I think T. Olive held it for like 45 years.
Yes. Yeah, there was definitely a record.
It was either 5 or 5.5 furlongs.
I didn't remember.
I want to say
now
5.
That you say it.
T. Olive.
Was it T. Olive?
I think it was T. Olive, which is also a name for one of the holes at Augusta National.
Yeah.
But I think T. Olive was the name of a horse. And I want to say 5.5 furlongs, if I had to bet another Pepsi.
But I remember what was there at the top of the PPs.
Who, to me, at 9-2 would be very attractive, quite honestly, for Wesley Ward, who scored the other day in the inaugural maiden special weight race for the fillies. It was on opening day. Was at race 2, I think. Ran for third, number 2, Thief of Hearts, a movie that I think is enjoyable to watch. But
Jeff Bridges?
No, young guy that played on Ray Donovan, played Ray Donovan's assistant, Michael Bauer. I don't know if that sounds right. You would recognize it if you saw him, though. He was his career was probably apexing then, and it never went any farther. But Mr. Gomez, who got to the winner's circle yesterday.
Yeah, first mount at Saratoga,
Yes.
Wins right out of the box. Good for
Easy
him.
game.
Good
Easy
for
game.
him.
What's this? But 7-6-2 in the second.
You said, gee, we didn't match when you looked at the numbers. I think it's that kind of a race. I could say a best effort from any of these wins it. I could have gone in a bunch of different directions.
The race is, I'm not shaking my head if anybody wins.
No,
I think, by the way, I think that's great in horse racing. I don't care that it's a starter allowed. I don't care about anything like that. I like the fact that all 7 are competitive. That's what I want.
And I went 5, 4, 6, and 1 just because the 4 is probably the horse to beat. But people focus so much on the buyers these days. That 77 in the win at Churchill last time, I think, is going to attract a lot of attention. But if you took that race out, this horse is right in the thick of things. So I think the horse will take money. Quick Money probably is the one to beat. But I thought Cupid's Girl, off of the win last time down at Belmont, had maybe a little bit of a stalk and pounce style that may play into the field today. I think there's enough speed in here that this horse may be kind of might be able to just kind of sit back and make a late run and get it done. Dylan Davis on board, getting 5-1 on the morning line. As I say, Quick Money may be the one to beat, and then T. Olive I thought was playable too, being lightly raced and second start of the season for Wesley Ward. So for me, 5, 4, 6, and 1.
And one more before our first break. Third race on the card, state race, 3-year-olds and up. Fillies and mares, maiden special weights. Mile and a 16 on the outer Mellon turf course.
4, 1, 12, and 11. I'm going to put Robin and Eli on top. Chad Brown, Michael Dubb and company. 3 starts. Sometimes you look at a record like this and you think, oh, professional bridesmaid? I just think this horse is better than that and has just maybe been in against some that wasn't able to get it done, but came back in the seasonal debut and tried a $150,000 stake as still a maiden and ran well in that. I think is going to fit squarely with this bunch today. I think incredibly wishful thinking that we'll get the 5-2 that the morning line shows with these connections and what we've seen so far. That said, it is a big field, so we may get a little more value than you would get in a shorter field. But Robin and Eli on top for me. What Love looks like in the second spot. Todd Pletcher, trainee, 3 starts, 3 improving numbers. Could be primed for a good effort this afternoon. And Sal's Dream Girl. Sal's Dream Girl and Jacosity, the 12 and the 11, are both interesting to me. Off of the last effort, the seasonal debut, Sal's Dream Girl, I think, is very playable. And Jacosity could be an interesting firster from Bill Mott. But both of them are stuck outside, and that's going to, I think, be a little bit of a negative in here. For me, in the third, 4, 1, 12, and 11.
And let me quote for the Associated Press on July 25th, 2001. Mayakovsky made a spectacular racing debut when he sped 5.5 furlongs in 103-1 in Wednesday's third race at Saratoga, breaking a 55-year-old track record set by T. Olive on August 30th, 1946. And I was wondering, was 46 the first time they came back here after not running here because of World War II? But there we go. See, we might be getting old, but we got some.
Well, there used to be, you had the hard copy of the form, there would be the track records up at the top, and it was very notable when you looked and you saw one that was 50 years old.
Yeah, because at that time, I don't know, is Man of War still standing? Doesn't have like the 3-mile record or something. Yeah. I'm 182, as you can see, ladies. What Love looks like to me for Todd Pletcher from the inside, making 4th all-career starts have been on the turf for this offspring of English Channel. Saratoga Chrome, Seth doesn't have in the mix, I think is better than odds runner this afternoon, making the 3rd start of the year. One of my favorite angles, Tyler Gaffleone. And for 3rd, a first-time starter, just with the pedigree, number 2 is Tara, I'm presuming. Dancer in here, an offspring of War Dancer, who has certainly come to the forefront as a stallion, son of War Front. 182 as we head to our first break.
A day at the track isn't complete without a night at the Horseshoe. Great food, hot music, and cold drinks. So why go downtown when all the action's just across from the track? The Horseshoe Inn at the corner of Nelson and Gridley.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Oops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
Birdstone is an outside front. They're coming down to the finish. Can Smarty Jones hold on? Here comes Birdstone. Birdstone surges past. Birdstone wins the Belmont Stakes.
Having trouble finding us? It's actually quite simple. Whether online or on your TV, it's never been easier to watch and wager on championship horse racing with Capital OTB. Simply log on to CapitalOTBBet.com. There you can watch our morning shows, live stream races, and wager on our state-of-the-art wagering platform. You can also watch from the comfort of your home on Spectrum Cable Channel 1250 or Fios Channel 467 and win more with Capital OTB. First play of the day brought to you by the Dark Horse Mercantile, 445 Broadway in Saratoga Springs. And Mick Richards and I were down yesterday. We're putting together a little commercial for him.
Did you give me a gift? Did you give me a birthday gift? Nothing?
Speaking of which, happy birthday.
Thank you.
I'm going to save that for the end of the show, but I'll wish you a happy birthday now. And I could have bought you a gift. because I will again
I love that
tell
stuff.
people, yeah,
That's all.
and you go into Dark Horse, they have two stores down there, Dark Horse and their sister store, Impressions of Saratoga, down the street a little bit. And Impressions, you get collectibles and apparel and whatnot, same stuff at Dark Horse, but there was also a lot of racing memorabilia in there. There was a framed the card you get to go into racetracks and from 50 or 60 or 80 years ago, and it's just worth going in and going downtown if you're at the track and checking out the stores. But the Dark Horse play today, as Dark Horse indicates, maybe a horse that'll float under the radar a little bit and offer some value today. My Dark Horse play today, race number 7, Answer In, the number 6 horse. Goes out for Rob Falcone. Had some trouble last time that maybe darkens the form, and hopefully that leads to holding up the morning line of 12-1. Flavian Prat on board, so was in a stakes race last time, but you draw a line through that. Jock had some trouble with the broken rein. Race before that was on that starter claiming day, the claiming championship day. Didn't run that fabulously there, but you go to the races before that, I think this horse is going to be a square fit in this conditional claimer this afternoon, and I think we get a chance at a much better performance than we saw in the last two, which I think are races you can kind of excuse a little bit. I'm going to look for a bounce back at potentially a price. Race number 7, horse number 6, Answer In, the Dark Horse play today. Again, brought to you by our friends down at the Dark Horse Mercantile in downtown Saratoga, sister store Impressions of Saratoga as well. We're taking a visit if you're in Saratoga for the races. Go downtown for some dinner or whatnot. Check them out. All right, let's move on this Saturday card. 4th race today, conditional claimer. 9 furlongs is the trip.
8-2-4, and I'll get to the 2 in a moment, but I just thought the 8 returning back to 2 turns will be helpful. I was looking for an upsetter in here. Now this horse was claimed, I believe, for $75,000 from the Brad Cox barn a couple races back. Tried some sprints, but now gets 9 furlongs. Unfortunately, I'm on the outside. Unfortunately, I have a even money morning line favorite to beat in here. But that was the direction that I wanted to head. That just hopefully, even being on the outside, that maybe we can drop over in the second flight or so and get the 2-path around. The horse to beat in here is the number 2, Higher Quality, making the 4th career start, 2nd time versus winners. This is even money in the morning line for Chad Brown. And for 3rd, number 4, Eagle in Love. They take blinkers off. This is the 5th career start, had previously run in blinkers in all of them, comes off the 2nd place finish. But 8-2-4 in the 4th.
I have a 2-4, 1 and 8, so we're in the ballpark.
Yes.
I put Higher Quality on top. Chad Brown, Louis Lazzanero, Mike Dubb and company, lightly raced, broke the maiden in the 2nd career start, and what looked like a pretty good looking performance, and then went backwards. So it's like, what gets validated today? Well, I think dropping into the claimer will get closer to what we saw 2 back, so the conditional claimer. So Higher Quality on top. Eagle in Love for Rob Atras off a start down at Belmont against Similar that was pretty good. So seems like they found the comfort zone for this horse. And Red Revolution for Rob Falcone. A couple of 3rd place finishes most recently, but the last one was just behind Eagle in Love. And so you like that one. You got to think this one is going to be interesting in the mix as well. Cryo, I think, could be a player on the outside. So as I say, we're in the same boat as far as the horses we're looking
The thing
at.
that interests me, like, from perception, I remained anonymous yesterday. The 2nd race, the Brad Cox runner, the claim horse, I think it was 5-2 or 7-2 on the morning line, and opened up at like 3-5. Right away. I'll be intrigued here to see, as I was with opening day when Wayne Lucas's horse in Summer Breeze in the feature.
Summer Promise.
Summer
right?
Promise opened up at odds on in a race. I'll be higher with that type of thinking. Higher Quality is going to open up at 3-5 also in the race.
You would think.
Yes, that's my.
For me, 2-4, 1 and 8.
State Breds in the 5th, going a mile and a 16th on the inner turf course and entry level allowance.
I went 8, 9, 10, and 3. I put Shutters on top. Again, it's Chad Brown. This one owned by Peter Brandt. A couple of starts last year as a 3-year-old, so got maybe a little bit of a late start and kind of lived up to that late start with poor performance as the favorite in the debut right up here at Saratoga. but seemed to benefit from that. Moved down to Belmont. October start was a nice win. Comes back as a first-time gelding. Comes back in that situation I often like. 2-year-olds or lightly raced 3-year-olds, they get a little bit of a break. They can come back improved, and with these connections, I definitely think that is a strong possibility. 5-1 looks really generous given that. So we'll see. I put Shutters on top. Rally Squirrel consistently puts in numbers that it's going to put this horse right in the thick of things with this group. Typically in the hunt in some type of a finishing position that will help you score out in an exacta or try. So I think this one very, very live and marinara sauced. Also going out for Chad Brown by Leoban, and Leoban, pretty good sire of win early New York bred types. This one lived up to that in the debut effort, and then they got ambitious off of the debut maiden win and tried the New York Stallion Series and ran third. So I think given that situation, moving back into the more proper non-winners of one, Marinara Sauce is very dangerous as well. 8, 9, 10, and 3.
5-8-3 for me. Mr. Kringle making the third start since the winter. Most recent effort was 7 furlongs on the Widener at Belmont Park. I think probably in the United States the only place they can run 7/8 around one turn on the turf. I think we'll set up nice for the 8.5 furlong race. Shutters to me, and just to give maybe our weekend warriors some insight, if you're not familiar, at 5-1, I'd be salivating on betting on Shutters. But and trust me, David Aragona does a better job today than I would do at the end of a 20-year career making a morning line. I just thought Shutters might be half that price based on the connections, and then Frontline Dancer for third. But 5-8-3.
All right, let's move on to race number 6 on this Saturday afternoon. Plain Vanilla Claimer. They're charging $25,000 if you want to buy yourself a birthday present, perhaps a horse to move forward.
That would be, I was hoping my wife would buy me a
7 furlongs to
go. Is that how it usually works? I usually buy her a present for her birthday. 8-2-5 for me. Linda Rice sends out this runner, second off the $16,000 claim on the outside. Comes off of a victory for 32. Now runs for 25. Because of the victory in the barn, I don't think, he's out-earned, I guess you could say, the accounting $7,000 loss, so I'm okay with that. I'm on the outside at good tactical speed with Flavian Prod for second. Number 2, in Sky We Trust. First off the claim for Mike Maker, who's doing great. See if he get his dirt win yesterday. Impressive on the turf yesterday, that runner. For third, Long-Term Thinking. Off the claim of $25,000 at Oaklawn. Makes the third start since that May 8th claim. 8-2-5.
I have an 8, 5, 1, and 3, so we're similar on top. Yes. Al Cool's Linda Rice trainee comes off a couple of wins, claim 2 back. They moved up, they won there. Now they're kind of splitting the difference. Shouldn't be any problem. Long-Term Thinking comes in from Churchill off a win against similar, off a close-up second against similar down there with a decent number that matches with this field. A nice run down at Oaklawn 3 back with a buyer that matches up nicely with these is indicative, I think, of those two, what we'll get this afternoon. And then Flamingo Hawk in the third spot comes up for Safi Joseph, also off some racing down at Churchill, that I think bodes well for this group, because Flamingo Hawk is getting a little bit of class relief in here, I would think, which may wind up making that one the one to beat. But I have it in the 6, 8, 5, 1, and 3.
And I should have mentioned that kicks off the pick 6.
With over $500,000 in the carryover.
What do you think they bet today?
That's a great question. I don't know.
We'll ponder that as we go to our second break. We'll be right back.
It only takes one upset to make history, especially in Saratoga, the graveyard of champions, where the dark horse can overcome the odds, defeating the favorites and wowing the crowds. The smart bet is always the dark horse.
Keen Ice is good! Keen Ice has won the Travers over American Vale in a dramatic upset.
Hello everyone, I'm Scott Bartley and I'm here at the West Condominiums in Saratoga Springs. And guess what? We are down to the home stretch. Everything is 2 bedrooms and 2 baths. Come make a selection of one of the greatest condos ever to be built in Saratoga Springs. We're starting in the upper 5s and the only rooftop penthouse available now under construction. Wow, just look at this patio. We have a rooftop rooftop pool, heated garage, balconies, and a gym. Call me at 518-281-6808.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
What if there was a way to become a better horse player? To have a better knowledge of the game? To be more successful? What if there were a way to take what you've learned, what you know, and make better decisions, better choices? In horse racing, knowledge is a powerful tool. Race results and replays, past performances and live streaming, wagering from all your digital devices. Capital OTB. Become a better horse player.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Race number 7, second leg of the pick 6. Optional claim was 62, 9 worth to 2 other than, going 7 furlongs. I would love to know at the end of the day the percentage of tickets that have the 5.
Oh, well, yeah.
Is this, I don't use this lingo or because it's not, but is this the free square?
Well, I typically toss out some plays on Equidaily. I have a bankroll page, and I played a pick 5 because I thought this was a free square.
There it is.
So I have the 5.
The answer is yes.
I mean, I think Baby Yoda may take a little bit of action, but I tend to think, even though the potential is there that Baby Yoda comes back and maybe freaks at Saratoga, maybe, but
it's got a lot of mileage out of that 114.
I could not quite buy into that theory. So for me, it is 5, 6, 9, and 4 reinvestment risk on top. Yeah, okay, finished second in the last 2, but to Jackie's Warrior Speaker's Corner, so I'm kind of forgiving those second place finishes. A couple of triple digit buyers in the last 3 starts. It's Chad, it's Klarovich. I put that one on top. I didn't even put Baby Yoda in the second spot because I thought Answer In, again, that my dark horse play was going to be a little bit intriguing in here at a price. And as I say, I was kind of forgiving a little bit the last 2, and the numbers underneath past that are kind of intriguing in here. So Answering at the 12-1 morning line, I thought was playable. If you're looking for an upset, you play around with that. Maybe again on the picks, I don't know. The horizontals, but the vertical, winner place, maybe a little bit interesting. Then Baby Yoda, and if you weren't familiar with what we were talking about, this horse up here last year was just eye-popping, and coming out of that race last year, I think there was all kinds of hope for Baby Yoda. Baby Yoda wins up here at the end of the meet with a 114 buyer figure. More notable, also getting a triple-digit buyer figure, running second was Olympiad, who was validated his performance subsequently. Not so much for Baby Yoda, though, but 2 for 2, including that 114 buyer here at Saratoga. So maybe this is just a horse that is freakish up here. We'll find out more about that today. In the 7th, though, I have it 5, 6, 9, and 4.
All I add is that River Dog, as a New Yorker, got a 97 in his debut. I don't know how many times that has ever occurred. I have him splitting the 2 obvious ones.
Saratoga's 8th race is the Grade 1 Diana. $500,000 up for grabs. They will go 1 mile and an 1/8 on the grass.
Well, I mean, we're going to be around and around for this for probably this season, maybe more season. Chad Brown just has an excellent division of fillies and mares on the turf. What is he, 4 out of the 6, I think, in here today. Bleecker Street is undefeated. You have her getting beaten today, as I do. But, to me, I thought the 4 was awesome on United States debut, Derby weekend. Then a little regression, perhaps, at 3 to 5. Now let's go forward in the Diana at 1 mile and an 1/8 for the 4. What had the press? Rogier, a French, which makes sense. Was only ran like an 1/8 of a mile in United States debut. We'll see how she is today. For second, I split the Chad Brown runners with Creative Flair, making the first start in the United States since September. Ran at Saratoga in the Invitational. For third, Bleecker Street, 7 for 7, 6 to 5 on the morning line. Comes out of the victory in the Grade 1 New York. 4, 2, 3. It's a short field. Yes, one trainer dominates it, but I have to say, as an athletic contest, I'm over the moon to see it.
Yeah, Bleecker Street has just been phenomenal.
Once again, I'd like to
Obviously,
talk, just pick 6 players. How do you get through here?
Yeah, absolutely.
What's your thought?
But Bleecker Street at 7 for 7. I looked. I was going to go in that direction, but Rozier last time, I'm just going to kind of forgive that because the race 2 back, I think, was good enough. So did the betting public, making Rozier the favorite over Bleecker Street last time. I'm going to look for her to rebound, but we'll see if she validates one way or the other. Bleecker Street underneath, and then technical analysis also from Chad and Klarovich coming out of a big win at Pimlico last time. This will be the 3rd start back. She's very playable. Dalika, you go back to last year down at the fairgrounds, and there was some kind of front-end wins that were intriguing, and this is a fun race. But I have it 4, 3, 1, and 5.
On to the 9th race. Open company optional 3-year-olds. Optionals 80, non-winners to one other than. Also running a 1.8 but this one on the inner turf course.
I think in this race, the 9 is going to take some action for Shug. 9, 6, 3, and 10. I have the 2 is also intriguing and very playable in here. But I put 4 Ticonderoga on top. A couple of starts in the career, one last year on the dirt off the turfer down at Belmont, then came back in the seasonal debut and ran really big when they got on the grass. And I think this one being lightly raced and with that win in the seasonal debut for Ticonderoga is very, very playable and logical in here. However, Chad and Klarovich have a runner that I think is also very dangerous. Won the career debut credit event, the number 6, followed it up down at Keeneland in an allowance event, and it didn't show up much that day, but the subsequent race down at Belmont says this horse probably is closer in talent to what we saw in the debut than we saw in the 2nd start. And then Forever Super in the 3rd spot, was in an off-the-turfer on the synthetic last time down at Gulfstream, but has good turf races just before that. The Marquesi runner seems to be on the improve in the 9th, 9, 6, 3, and 10.
And good luck to the horizontal players getting through here, because if it's not for Ticonderoga, I think the 1A is going to run appreciably better than the 12-1 odds in here for Shug McGahee.
And West Point. I looked at that one too.
An analogy, the 4, I'm expecting good things in here. You mentioned credit event. I'm 9-4-1. I do think for Ticonderoga, the race goes through him. But boy, if it's not him, I can't imagine what the tickets look like. A terrific 3-year-old race on the turf.
Dripping Gold does because they got the career debut win here at Saratoga last year, and they were confident enough to then go up and try the win here in the summer up at.
And the last one you could just see is like welcome back to racing, and now you go to Prats.
10th race, or are we taking a break?
We are taking a break. Yes, our final break. When we come back, the late daily double.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now. No matter where in the world you are, the excitement of wagering on horse racing is just a click away. You'll get live streaming, past performances, race replays, our virtual tote board, analysis and selections from professional handicappers, a simple, safe, and secure wagering platform, and best of all, you get track prices. CapitalOTBBet.com. Bet any place, anytime at CapitalOTBBet.com. And be sure to download our new mobile app from the iTunes Store or Google Play.
Welcome back. We kick off Saturday action at Saratoga on this gorgeous day, and that means some stakes racing. We talked about the Grade 1 Diana, but there is what Saratoga is known for, 2-year-old race, and a nice kickoff 2-year-old race. The Sanford, of course, means a lot to me because it reflects back on Amsterdam, and that's where I grew up, the Sanford Farm up on Route 30 when I was a kid. I actually remember seeing some horses work on, not many, but occasionally there would be a horse on the track up at the Sanford Farm, but kind of memorializing that great racing family from our area. The Sanford Grade 3 event, 2-year-olds going 6 furlongs.
And it was, I think, 1994 when they switched the Saratoga Special, which used to be the first juvenile, with the Sanford, which was the middle one. But if you take either one of them, the first 2-year-old boys stakes race, field of 12 is outstanding, and I think perhaps in record, or at least record time. But I am 5-4-3. Okay, you don't like my top pick, but you got the second pick. Tom Amos sends out the second time starter, number 5, Curly Jack. Won very impressively on debut at Churchill Downs. For second, number 2, Forte, Todd Pletcher's runner, 1-5 in debut. I thought did it very professionally. He was down inside, tipped outside, and won easily as can be. And I will say, I think 5-2 is attractive now. I'm not so sure he'll be near that price. I think this is the 2-year-old that they're going to go to.
Because I think the sibling to Forensic Fire is going to take some action too.
And then Great Navigator, who 30 years ago, a Great Navigator won the Hopeful, I believe.
No, you're right.
This is the second time starter, ships in from Monmouth Park. But 5-4-3 in this year's edition of the Sanford.
I went 4-9-12-2. You said it. I was in doing the handicapping show, the afternoon show, the day he won, and that was just a really good-looking performance. And immediately after, Todd Pletcher said we're headed to the Sanford, and here they are now off that nice-looking win. But Andiamo Forenzi, a sibling to Forensic Fire, lived up to the older sibling with a nice win to kick off the career for Kelly Breen. I think this horse is going to be very intriguing today as well. Valenzen Day gets stuck outside for Reed Rodriguez. The debut was pretty good. I think got ambitious. Tried stakes in the second start. I think with those two under the belt, should run well. And Major Dude from Todd Pletcher, with a buyer figure that's maybe a little bit light, might get away with some odds and could be intriguing as well. In the 10th, the Sanford, 4-9-12-2.
If it's not Forte, it'd be very intriguing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it'll be interesting to see the wagering goes, naturally. Wrapping up the first Saturday of the meet, we have 3-year-olds and up fillies in for 35, 9-waters at 2, mile 16th on the Mellon turf course.
4, 3, 9, and 6, and I thought the 11 Kemba was playable as well. When I got down to the last few spots, I could have juggled those up, but I put Diva Ready on top. Jonathan Thomas and Augustin. I'm on the Augustin horse again today. Nice win in the second start of the career down at Delaware. Then they went up to Woodbine. Found that a little bit intriguing. Tried an optional claimer up there. Ran okay, but I think what we've seen so far, being lightly raced, and again, an Augustin horse coming to Saratoga, I'll tilt in that direction. Noble Enterprise comes in off a good try against similar last time down at Belmont. And then in the third spot, I put Princess Blakely, goes out for Chad Brown, and a lightly raced, stepping out of some Florida State bred allowance company, and should like this group very well. So I have it 4, 3, 9, and 6.
The Augustin people called and they want to thank you. They now realize it wasn't just a Jonathan Shepard thing, that they were part of the dance partner for you in this. I'm 4, 9, 6. I'm not the ad Diva Ready, Princess Blake. I do have Bella Conchita, which is the 6th in here for Sherry DeVoe, making the first start since Keeneland. But 4, 9, 6, wrapping up the 11 race card on the opening Saturday. Grade 1 fillies and mares on the turf, 2-year-olds on the dirt.
Big carryover in the pick 6.
Tremendous carryover. I cannot wait to see. We were there, and maybe 1.5 million. It would be very interesting. It'd also be interesting to see what the pick 5 pool is today with this going on for the pick 6. But I got to get out of here because he stays, and he's got 3 guests coming on up next, Racing Across America. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a gorgeous morning up at Trackside. Have a great day at the races.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.